gentlemen, we welcome you into our post-game coverage here on CuseSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. Giovanni Heater with you. So glad to have you along for the ride. Late night here in downtown Syracuse. Phone lines are, of course, open as always. 315-437-7644 is the number to call. And I mentioned it. It just felt like, in a lot of ways, this was a Syracuse team that hadn't played since last Tuesday. The good, the bad, the ugly, they came away with a win. We talked about in the pregame how you really would have liked to have seen them flex their muscles a bit, really enforce their will, blow out an inferior opponent on paper, and handle business because of the NCAA tournament metrics, because of the net rankings and where Syracuse stacked up compared to St. Joseph's. And unfortunately, the Orange didn't do that. I think that you can take a deeper look and say maybe it's a bit of a scheduling flaw, and I understand that this is finals time of the year and everything of that nature. But I think that you can look from 1,000-foot view and say maybe a 9-day gap between games isn't the biggest strength on the schedule, and it doesn't set you up for optimal success if you're building a Syracuse basketball schedule. But they won the game. And I know this isn't the first time this year they've faced an inferior opponent and didn't necessarily look the part and didn't necessarily blow them out of the water like you like to have seen them do. But they won the game. And that is the important thing. Couldn't afford losses down the stretch of this non-conference here. They should go undefeated the rest of the way in the non-conference play. And they set the table to go ahead and do that here with a win over St. Joseph's. Though an 8-point win, and not as big of a win as many had hoped, they came away with a win nevertheless. I was impressed by the fact that Syracuse ended up having 5 scorers in double figures tonight. I do think that that is something to hang your hat on if you're a Syracuse basketball fan, especially in doing it while only scoring 71 points. 16 points out of Tyler Betsy, had his best game in a Syracuse jersey, goes 6 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, 3 rebounds as well to add on top of it. Betsy had a great game for Syracuse, led all scorers with 16. 12 points out of William Kyle on 3 of 4 shooting. How about 6 of 9 from the stripe? This was a guy that was struggling to shoot free throws. The free throw form does not look pretty, but they went in more than they did. And 6 of 9 from the line, also had 11 rebounds. A nice double-double for William Kyle. Continuing to go down the line for Syracuse, 5 scorers in double figures. Nate Kings tallied 14 for the Orange. 5 of 8 shooting, 3 of 5 from the floor. 5 rebounds, ended up fouling out with 5 fouls. J.J. Starling, 11 points tonight. 5 of 13 shooting, wasn't terrific. 0 of 3 from beyond the arc. 1 of 2 from the stripe. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. We kind of called on J.J. to have a big game, and it felt like it was a pretty quiet 11 points, especially because he went 5 of 13 shooting. But J.J. in double figures tonight. And then 10 points out of your point guard, Nathan George. 4 of 6 from the floor out of Nathan George. 2 of 2 from the stripe. 2 rebounds, 3 assists. 2 turnovers in total for the point guard out of Georgia Tech, Nate George. Team shot it actually pretty darn well. 47% from the floor and 43% from beyond the arc. You'll take that. 6 of 14 from beyond the arc. That's not a bad night if you're Syracuse. 15 of 28 for 54% from the free throw line. That is another night of a cause for concern at the charity stripe. They're just not a good free throw shooting team. They're not. And I do have a deep, deep fear that it is going to plague them this season. You have to make your free throws. Anytime you're in a close game, it feels like that is going to be something Syracuse will be very susceptible to costing them if they can't make their free throws. Another night of not being strong with the free throws at all whatsoever tonight. Syracuse, though, as a team, what they were able to do defensively, they did hold St. Joseph's to 35% from the floor and 5 of 26, good for 19% from beyond the arc. St. Joseph's made some more of their free throws, 18 to 27 for 67%. Syracuse, 47% from the floor on offense, holding the opposition to 36%. You have to feel pretty good about that. The rebounding category, St. Joseph's dominated on the glass. I mean, this is a pretty fascinating box score. It's a big reason as to why they were able to hang around. 44 rebounds to Syracuse's 34. Okay. Turnovers, though, St. Joseph's turned it over 14 times to Syracuse's 10, and the Orange took better advantage, 12 points off the 14 turnovers. Second chance points, 9 points for Syracuse, but 13 second chance points for St. Joseph's. They had 14 offensive rebounds to Syracuse's 6. So another game in which Syracuse was giving up a lot on the offensive glass. Looks like we got the phones already ringing, and we got Pat on the line. So we're going to go to Pat. We'll take a break after that because around the corner we're going to have our live press conference with the head coach of the Orange, Adrian Autry. But we'll go to Pat first before we take a break. Pat, how we doing, my man?
Well, let's not have overreaction theater, right? I mean, it's the 9 o'clock game. It's, we had over a week off. So I've been watching this team long enough to know that you can't judge by one game, but that was a horrific effort. I mean, first of all, Devendorf is my guy. Him and his colleague were horrific in some of their takes, not only on how good St. Joe's is, but what they were doing, what Syracuse was doing, some of the calls. That was not basketball tonight. Okay, St. Joe's lost to a middle of the road ACC team by 40. Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's decent. St. Joe's beat Drexel by 10. We destroyed Drexel and didn't even play like our A game. So to me, this is the worst performance of the year. I mean, Iowa State in the second half was obviously the worst half. Mm-hmm. But to me, I just can't even look at anything close to how bad this game was. Autry's substitutions were horrific. They really were. He left Swarian way too long. We went on the drought. He goes zone with his smallest lineup. I mean, that's not a zone lineup. If you're going to go zone, you have to go big.
Yeah, you have to.
You probably need Betsy on one side and Sadiq on the other with Kyle. And this call will finish with JJ. Okay, JJ had a great game his last game, but here's the deal. Okay, and in my view, he's a senior and he's still making stupid mistakes. And when I mean stupid mistakes, I mean freshman-like stupid mistakes with some of his decision making, driving where there's no driving lanes, airballing. 3-pointers from the corner. I mean, these are things that you cannot have your best player do and be a tournament team. It is undeniable. I mean, we'll also give Syracuse a pass because Freeman's not there, and I don't know what was going on with Sadiq tonight. He was playing weird. I know why Autry took him out. He just never got into the flow of the game. I mean, let's be honest. We had a great free throw performance in the first half, or we probably would have lost. I mean, people might say, "What do you mean we would have lost? We won by around 10." Well, I mean, it got stretched out late because we were up by more than 2 possessions, and we were even making stupid turnovers at the end. Just a horrific performance, honestly. I mean, Tell me where I'm over exaggerating, because to me that St. Joe's team is hot garbage.
No, I'm honestly, Pat, I don't disagree with you in any way, shape, or form. I think St. Joseph's. I mean, the net ranking doesn't lie, right? You're looking at a team that is ranked in the 250s.
254.
Yeah. As far as their net ranking goes. Right, they're not good. Blown out by Virginia Tech. I thought Syracuse had to show the same kind of result that Virginia Tech was able to show against St. Joseph, so I agree with you there. It just felt like I'm not even trying to necessarily defend the team, because, again, you have to get up for these games. You have to beat up on inferior opponents and all. I hate the scheduling. 9 days is a long time to not play a basketball game.
Yep, that's why you don't overjudge them and say, oh, this is an NIT team or anything like that. But they got a long way to go. Their offense has no purpose. They make it easy for a bad defensive team to look good, and that's what we did tonight. And if anybody wants to say anything different, that's fine. But that's my take, and I'll take it to bed.
No, I appreciate you as always, Pat. We're gonna catch a break just because we want to make sure we get Coach Autry in. We'll talk to you on Saturday. I'll talk to you on Saturday.
Level 0 tonight, my guys.
Level 0. Let's crank it up to hopefully at least 3 on Saturday. I don't know. The level 5's getting a little old, but we appreciate you, Pat. That's our guy, Pat, calling in as always. No, yeah, I'm with him. I don't know what's wrong with JJ. He doesn't look like himself. I don't want to say he's regressed, but it feels like he's regressed. Like, he does not look like the JJ Starling of last year or even the year before. So I don't know what exactly is going on there. The offense doesn't have the same flow. I'm still pleased with a lot of the defense. They were giving up a lot of those nice extra passes at times. St. Joe's was moving the ball and getting Syracuse out of position. Overall, throughout the season, I've been very, very pleased with the defense, though. I'm with Pat, though. Very, very flat tonight. Was more of a level 0 on that end. So we're going to take a break so that we can get Coach Autry on the other end. As always, Syracuse postgame right here on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Catch the Syracuse basketball pregame prior to every game. Built by IKEA. We are the pulse of the orange. ESPN Radio 97.7 and 100.1.
Smart buyers are choosing Toyota Gold Certified Used at Burdick Toyota. Choose a Toyota Certified Used Corolla, Camry, RAV4, Highlander, or Tacoma, including hybrid models. Then get today.
Chat.
I got to get a haircut.
No, the flow, I like it.
Yeah, I agree with your take on JJ. Like, it's kind of concerning. I mean, maybe he's not meant to be a, on ball, first scoring option type of guy. Like, he's kind of a play creator, but
he has been. Like, I don't know what.
I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why he's regressed in his senior year.
So weird. It's early though, and he missed like 4 games.
Pat had a point though, like playing to the competition. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah. No, they should have.
Other NCAA tournament teams don't do that. They're not going to have 9 days off, and then St. Joe's comes in and they only beat them by 7.
Yeah.
Or 9 or whatever it was.
And I watched the game where Virginia Tech smoked them. Like he said, St. Joe's is not that good.
Yeah.
Us not getting to the level 5, too many dips. I thought that caused a lot of inconsistency in our defensive effort. With that being said, still holding them to 63. We just thought we just had too many dips. I thought, at the end of the game, we couldn't get the rebounds, we couldn't get the stops that we needed to get. But overall, I thought we made some plays that we needed to make. It wasn't pretty. It was not a pretty game at all. We just played against a really good St. Joseph's team, especially offensively. We got to do a better job. We got to stop fouling as much, and a lot of that is just our inconsistency and attention to detail. So we got to do a little bit better job than that. Again, and typically when we play as hard as we want to play, which I thought we had spurts today, and then we kind of kicked our own selves in the foot, whether it was a unexplainable turnover or a bad decision offensively. I thought, we kind of, a lot of it is, they took advantage of our mistakes. So, a lot to work on. Don't have too much time to think about this one as we got to get prepared for, a hostile team coming in here that's playing extremely well. So we got to prepare for that. But again, I thought overall my main thing was our energy level and our tension energy level wasn't there today. And, but we made some shots and we made some free throws that we needed to make enough to come away with the win.
was 9 days off maybe helped you guys, but also maybe took away some of that momentum.
Yeah, I think that the layoff was definitely played a part in that. You could just tell some of our guys were, breathing a little hard. We had a couple of guys that, wasn't feeling their best, a little bit under the weather. No excuse though. People have played this game sick. We talked about that, but I thought the layoff definitely, having a 9 or 10 day layoff we had to. That was a challenge as well, but no excuse.
Aside from William Kyle, how concerned are you with the overall rebound?
Well, it's a concern, from the beginning of the year. We have to battle. A lot of that is, our guards got to do a better job of rebounding. I thought JJ got in there and did some, but Nate George, he needs to get some rebounds. Cayenne has to do a better job in there. Sadiq, we just, again, our energy level was not there today. And again, when you look at that difference, a lot of it came in some crucial times, at the end of the game where, we get a stop, we get them to miss, and, we just can't get the ball. So we got to do a better job of that. Again, it all goes back to our level 5, and it was not there today. Not there at all.
8 Kings and Tom Betsy had pretty good games tonight. What makes those guys so great for the system that you want to play with?
Versatile defenders, They're in the spots that they need to be in. They are, Tyler Bessie is probably one of the more improved defenders. That wasn't really his reputation. Coming out of high school, he was a guy that could shoot the ball. And he's made tremendous strides. He's worked on his body. So, but in particular, Nate Kings, he's a guy that can, he gets hits on screens. He doesn't stop, keeps moving. So again, those two guys, and for us, they can shoot the ball on the offensive end as well, and they are actually doing a good job of growing their game of getting to the basket. Again, I know, Brett. Free throw thing is, but we'll keep working and we'll get better at that. We will. We'll get better at that.
So, back to that team, he had a lot of big shots tonight. What were you seeing from him on the offensive end?
I thought he stayed away from those long twos. I thought he took an extra dribble and kind of got closer to the basket and he used his strength. He made some real strong moves, and I thought that was a difference. I thought, him, obviously using the shot fake and being able to get to the basket under control was really good for us. And like you said, he made some big shots down the stretch for us.
When you look at the offensive end, where do you kind of draw that line of being aggressive and trying to attack the rack like you like to, getting in there in the first half, getting in and turning the basketball?
Yeah, we again, we were not sharp at all. As far as getting in there, we knew the type of defense that they would play. We knew we would get into the paint. We had to make better decisions, and we didn't really do that as much. I thought we made some plays when we needed to make them, but we got to get better with that. It was a different look that we hadn't seen in a while. So, we got to get better at getting in there, getting to the paint, finishing off the two, getting the two, and being strong with the ball. I thought, they knocked the ball out of our hands a couple of times in the first half, and, we can't have that. We got to be stronger with the ball and play off of 2 feet. We had a couple of not strong finishes that, we talked about, and we wanted to stay away from that, and we kind of got pulled into that trap.
Are you concerned that as these things are going on, teams are going to put you on the line or put this on the line?
Sure. I mean, that was where we had that offense-defense at the end of the game today. Even though Will stepped up and made 6 for 9 today, so that was good to see. But we'll get better. We just, these guys shoot the ball a lot better than we're doing right now. Even from the 3-point range, we'll get better with that. And I really put a lot of focus on what we're doing on a defensive end, and then on offensively, just making the right shots and making the right passes. I thought we missed a couple of people today that we could get some open looks for. We can't miss certain guys, and we got to do a better job of that.
Brett, this was a night you mentioned struggling against 11-5, 9 o'clock tips, snowing late, not a great crowd. So on nights like this, how do you kind of self-start?
Yeah, that's at the juicing station. Again, the juicing station wasn't at a level 5 today. And, this is the second game in a row, right? 9:00 start, and we've had some energy, some juice, some energy level 5 issues. So we got to work on that. And I think we got a couple more during the season. So, that's something that we'll address and continue to push and work. But, again, this is always going to be a tough game for us. I know it, when you see the schedule, you get 9 days off. And a team that has been in the rhythm, they've played 2 or 3 games, and they've been playing well. So we knew they would come in confident. The same thing as Autry, So I'm glad we, kind of, did what we needed to do. Obviously, you got to continue to get better. We 8 games in. So, 9 games in, we got, got to get better. We got to continue to get better.
Going back to that 9-game stretch without a game, just how did you kind of balance giving maybe guys some time off after that Christmas stretch you had, and then you guys working with that?
Yeah, it was, they had finals, so guys had exams. We went through that rough stretch coming from Vegas and then coming back and playing Tennessee. So, we try to have that balance of trying to get to some rest and also, being mindful of, these guys had some exams. So it was a challenging 9 days, to say the least, as far as just like, being able to balance that student athlete balance and finals and things like that. But again, everyone deals with it. We just got to do it. We got to do a better job. And like I said, a couple of our guys were under the weather, so they've been struggling with that. So again, I think I think this game will get us going now.
One more. Coach, you said this season of injuries. Was that intentional, or just going to have to be confident out?
I think the way their defense was, I thought they really were aggressive on Tyler Betsy and Nate King. So whenever we did get those kickouts, those driving kicks, they did a good job of showing and getting to the basket. We want to take the best shots possible, and that's something that we're going to continue to try to do. So again, we knew that we could, get into the paint a little bit and put pressure on the rim, which we always try to do, to soften up the defense. So, that was really, what the defense gave us.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Coach.
Catch the Syracuse basketball pregame prior to every game, built by IKEA. We are the pulse of the orange. ESPN Radio.
What's up, chat? Past the bedtime. That's fine. Cool with that.
You have Facebook?
Do I have Facebook? I do, but I don't really use it. Recommend upping it?
No, we're going to get to anything in the world, like connected to
The meta. Yeah, can you get me fixed in there? Yeah, I'll still be here till the end of January, so I might as well get looped back in.
Yeah, it's going to be a minute before I start doing stuff on there.
We'll get you. Because you'll be here.
Yeah. I forgot I'll be here that early.
We need some level 5.
If I'm going to be here in 12 hours, we need to wrap it up.
Huh?
The juicing station. Level 5. Yeah.
See it on the meter over there?
What?
I just love how the classic radio station dial on decibels and stuff.
Yeah. That's true. I have had 3 chocolate rice cakes.
They're so good.
They are good. I'll be on that again, Zach, on Saturday, pre and post. Ask some questions in the chat. Favorite coworker? Honestly, Paul McCoy. Same old story with Donnie. What's the deal? I don't know what the deal is with Donnie. I don't think any of us really know. I don't know how we got out rebounded by 10 either. Didn't have that level 5 effort. They did not drink enough juice at the juicing station, according to coach. No, I don't think Syracuse Orange men's basketball is going to win the national championship, but I do think they're going to make the tournament. I stand by that. I do think they're going to make the tournament. We are coming back.
BMW postgame show.
Another win in the books for Syracuse men's basketball, 71-63. The final score, Syracuse wins it over St. Joseph's inside the JMA Wireless Dome on a snowy Thursday evening. Giovanni Heater with you on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. 2 games in a 3-day span for Syracuse men's basketball, as tonight they take down St. Joseph's, and coming up on Saturday, they're back in the Dome once again, rolling out there against Hofstra. So always fun to have 2 games in 3 days, especially with the fact that Syracuse, again, had a 9-day layoff where they did not play for 9 days after taking down a top 15 Tennessee team inside the Dome last Tuesday. So it has been quite some time since Syracuse basketball was back in action. Now they're going to have a jam-packed couple of weeks here to close out the non-conference portion of the schedule. Phone lines are open if you want to get in on the action at 315-437-7644. That is the number to call. And it's time for our stars of the game and our play of the game as well for Syracuse men's basketball 71-63 win. I think the biggest thing for star of the game was how efficient Tyler Betsy was, not only from the floor, but from beyond the arc as well at 3 of 5. Really shot the ball nicely, hit the and one in the first half. Couple of them were contested. Just felt like he was getting in his rhythm shooting the 3 ball. Ended up with 16 points, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, like I mentioned. Really should have had more points. Left a lot to be desired at the free throw line with a 1 of 6 performance at the stripe. Did tally 3 rebounds and an assist as well. Was playing with a little bit of foul trouble. Only played 21 minutes out of the 40 because of having 4 personal fouls. So I'm giving Tyler Betsy our player of the game, our star of the game performance tonight for Syracuse in the 71-63 win over St. Joseph's. The play of the game, I honestly think it was probably Tyler Betsy's and one, because to that point they were really struggling to score the basketball, and all of a sudden he hits 2 straight threes. He hits one of them from the left wing and then comes around on the right wing, that and one, draws the foul, buries the 3, nothing but nylon. Just felt like a momentum boosting type of a shot when the offense was pretty stale through the first 11 minutes of that game or so. He hits that big three, the and one in the first half. And not that the offense ever got into a full-blown rhythm or really got humming, but it did feel like that was when they kind of turned it on a little bit. The confidence started to flow a little bit more. And again, he had hit 2 straight back-to-back three-pointers, and Betsy was starting to feel it at that point. So that's what we got for our star of the game and our play of the game. When we come back, we're going to talk more Syracuse basketball, how they can improve. We're going to give an injury report. We'll continue to peek at the rest of the upcoming schedule. Plenty more to talk about as Syracuse takes down St. Joseph's inside the Dome, 71-63, the final score on a snowy Thursday night in Central New York. Back after this, you're listening to Q Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
This is Orange.
Let's see, what do we got in the chat? Let's get Jim Boeheim on the show. I'd love to have Jim Boeheim on the show. That'd be sick. Best and worst case scenario for the season. Yeah, best case scenario. Best case scenario, they like go on a tear in ACC play, finish as and get like a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. Best case scenario. Worst case scenario, they go like 500 in ACC play and miss the tournament and Red loses his job. I'd say that'd be worst case scenario. Lower than 500 in ACC play, it would be, I think their basement, like a game under 500 in ACC play. They should fare well in the conference. They should. Kyle, what do you think the basement and the ceiling is?
It's tough to say because the usual year with a talented Syracuse roster such as this one, you could say that the basement is going below 500, and that wouldn't necessarily below 500 in ACC play, and that wouldn't necessarily mean that they miss the NCAA tournament. It could put them on the bubble. Like we've seen a 9-11 in ACC play Syracuse team make the NCAA tournament before, but the ACC is so god awful this year. Maybe not as bad as last year where there really only should have been 3 teams in the tournament and we snuck North Carolina in. But it's so bad this year that, you would like to think Syracuse's basement is still going 500 in ACC play with at least the belief we have in this team in the regular season, considering there are no bad losses on their resume yet. But there's a difference between playing, the strong Big 12 and SEC schools in 3 days and that last game against Iowa State where you're just fatigued and you let them score 60 in the second half, and then actually just twice a week playing solid ACC schools.
Yeah.
So it's unpredictable, but I agree with you. I think the ceiling is they probably finish 4th in the ACC and they pick, I don't know if they're a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament. I could see them, if things go right, like they win all the games that they're capable of winning, finishing on the edge of the top 25. But yeah. I'd say in all realism, they'll probably be a bubble squad this year. And I would take that as a win, to be honest, a huge win.
I think they're going to make the tournament as a bubble team. That's kind of my prediction.
Yeah. That's how I'm feeling too. Honestly, I have no edits.
Yeah. We'll see.
But I'm chat, you guys will learn I'm kind of a pessimist. I'm a Phillies fan. I've seen good baseball teams miss the playoffs. I've seen good basketball teams miss the playoffs. I've seen good football teams miss the playoffs. I assume at this point that teams are going to miss the postseason. Now, Syracuse is in a different mold in the past few years with the changing of the guards and figuring out what NIL will look like and the injury bug and, other roster pieces missing for off-the-court issues. So it's like, now that we have a roster that's being formed as we speak and we assume Donnie Freeman's going to be back for ACC play, it's like, I don't know what to do with these riches.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have to assume that things are going to come crashing down, but they won't. I have a feeling this is a much better year for Syracuse.
I'm with you. See, D. Hayes says, used to be we couldn't rebound because we played zone. We don't play zone anymore. What's the excuse now? We're short. We're pretty short. We don't have a big man that's very tall. He can jump. I still think he's great. I think he's an awesome defender. But I think maybe that's where some of the rebound troubles are coming. Oh, we also don't have Donnie. Donnie's probably the best rebounder on the team.
I think Donnie will be a big change.
Yeah, I agree.
Shocking, I know, but
their best players out.
Yeah. So the fact that they have like this resume without their best player, I know we can harp on this storyline like over and over and over again like we have all year, but the fact that we're doing this without Donnie is very promising.
I agree. They beat Tennessee without him, almost beat Houston. Should have beat Houston, bro. 17 missed free throws is insane. That's the one that you're going to look back on all year and be like,
You're like one free throw.
Yeah.
Literally one free
Literally
throw.
one. Oh, I think we're coming back.
$14:40 a.m. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
Syracuse basketball with another win inside the Dome, 71-63 the final score. The Orange advance to 6-3 on the season. Syracuse in action once again coming up on Saturday inside the JMA Dome. They're going to have a handful of games, 5 games in a 2-week span, all the way up until the 22nd to close out non-conference play. Giovanni Heater with you on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse. Phone lines are open if you want to call in, get in on the action. 315-437-7644, as always, is the number to call. And we're talking about improving the team. Improving the team. How can we improve this team from a 1,000-foot view, looking at the grand scheme of the season? And honestly, I think it blends in perfectly with our Krause Hospital injury report. Injury report brought to you by none other than Krause Hospital. Take me to Krause. I think the biggest way to improve this team right now is get Donnie Freeman back. He's the best player on the roster for Syracuse basketball. And when you step back and look at what they've accomplished without him, it's actually pretty staggering. Took the 7th-ranked team in the country now, then ranked number 3, Houston, to the wire. We're a free throw away from winning the game. Took them to overtime. It took 17 missed free throws to not win the game for Syracuse. Okay. Hung around there against Kansas. Missed free throws and missed 3 balls were a big problem in that game, but hung around with a top 25 Kansas team. Did get smacked around in the second half against Iowa State. They're now the 4th-ranked team in the country, but you were in a barn burner with them at the half. And then beat a top 25 Tennessee team in the Dome, all again without Donnie Freeman. I mean, it is pretty impressive what they have been able to do without Donnie Freeman. And I think when Donnie comes back, here's the big 3 things that you're going to see improve. Number 1, the rebounding. I think he's the best rebounder on the team. I think Donnie Freeman adds a whole different element to the rebounding game. You're not going to see the second chance points that you saw against Houston, that you saw tonight against St. Joe's. 13 second chance points on 14 offensive rebounds. St. Joe's won the rebound category 44-34 against Syracuse tonight. You're not going to see that with Donnie Freeman. I really don't think you are. Houston scored 21 points on 17 offensive rebounds against Syracuse a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas. I don't think you see that with Donnie Freeman in the mix. I think he's the best rebounder on the team, best player on the team. So that's one thing that you'll see improved, the rebounding. 2, the free throw shooting. Donnie's probably the best free throw shooter on the team. His last game that he played against Monmouth went 12 of 14 from the stripe. Donnie shoots free throws very, very well. That's another thing you'll see improve when Donnie Freeman's back into the mix. And 3, overall offensive chemistry, I think, will be better with that focal point being back. It's an extra weapon for Syracuse. It's one guy that is going to garner a lot of attention. And I would say the defense is going to get better. I think the defense has been pretty awesome so far this year if you're Syracuse, and it's only going to be better with Donnie Freeman in the mix. He adds a lot of length and size at the 4 spot. He can score the basketball. He can defend. He can rebound. He really is an all-around player. The one part of his game he's trying to develop is the distance shooting from beyond the arc, and they don't necessarily need him to do that. And if he can complement with a couple extras, sure. It's a nice garnish on top. But I think the biggest way for this team to improve is get their best player back, Donnie Freeman. Things are looking optimistic in that department. Tonight, he was questionable, according to John Rothstein. He did not end up going. You'd like to see him back, like I was saying to the pregame show. I think the 20th against Northeastern would be nice. Because then you'd get him for the 20th against Northeastern. You'd get him for the 22nd against Stonehill. That's 2 tune-up games to have in your back pocket to get the chemistry right, to get him comfortable again, to get the mesh where you want it to be before you head into ACC play 9 days later on the 31st against Clemson. So I think optimally you want to get him back on the 20th, by the 20th, I should say, against Northeastern. If you get him back sooner, but without rushing him, great, fantastic. But if you get him back by the 20th, you get 2 games with him before the ACC opener, you're feeling like you're in a really, really good spot. So that's when I'd like to see Donnie back, hoping that they get him back at that point. But I think this team is going to improve on its own across the board without much altering once it gets its best player back. Everything is just going to look better. At least I hope so, and I think it will. I think Donnie Freeman's a really good basketball player. There's a reason he's being looked at to play at the next level, and that's the expectation on him if he can stay healthy. So I think that's the biggest way this team gets better. Krause Hospital injury report. Nothing to report on other than Donnie. Sadiq was a little bizarre tonight. I don't think it was really injury related. I just think it was more of a feel thing. So something to monitor, but I think really the only injury report nugget is that Donnie is out and is considered day-to-day at this point, and we'll see. They seem pretty optimistic to get him back sooner rather than later with the fact that he was a possible go tonight in the Dome against St. Joseph's. Final score, 71-63. Syracuse takes down St. Joseph's. We'll look at the upcoming schedule when we return. One more segment after the break. If you want to get in, the phone lines are open. Now's the time to do it. 315-437-7644, the number to call. You're listening to Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Syracuse.
Did you miss drive time?
Donnie Freeman.
Donnie.
Donnie, it's the name of the character, the main character from Creed.
Donald Duck.
Fun fact of the day. Dude, my eyes are going to be strained looking at this chat.
Yeah. Lots of colors.
You know, talking about the Kyle has been the best player on defense. Different Kyle.
Really,
guys, I can't play defense. It's funny. I just see Kyle or hear Kyle, and I'm like, huh? I feel like it's not that common of a name. But then again, you're named Giovanni, so.
Kyle's not. I haven't met many Kyles, though, so I guess it's not that common.
Yeah, it might be it. I don't know how many more Kyles you know. What's going on, Zachary? My night's going good. How's yours? Where are you watching from?
Yeah, we got any out-of-towners in the chat? Watching from not in Syracuse?
We had that caller during drive time. That was, Vegas?
Vegas, yeah, Nick, yeah.
Is he just from Vegas? Or
I think he's from here, but he lives in Vegas. I always get Jake in Iowa always calls.
Interesting.
I get Jake in Iowa. I had that one guy from, was he from like Alabama?
From Syracuse. Nice. A lot of regular chatters from out of town. That makes sense. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to getting to know y'all. You'll be seeing my face a lot more in a month and a half. Yeah, we're starting the whole training thing super early. I just was in town, and Gio's like, so.
You want to come hang out at work?
I have an offer that you can't refuse.
Come hang out for drive time tomorrow, chat. I'll be filling in for Tim tomorrow on drive time. Got some fun stuff planned. We'll have a fun show.
So, mic 1, mic 2, blah, 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 blah. Is the first one commercials? Which one's commercials? And that you're sliding down for them to not hear?
For them to not hear it, you hit 2 remote. So 2 remote means, like, think of the chat as remote.
Okay.
Yeah. So you just... Now they can hear commercials.
Or Burdick BMW.
Now they can't.
So do you basically just have that off the entire show?
2 remote?
Yeah.
No, because it sounds cooler when they can hear the intro music and stuff.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Right, that's right. That would make sense.
Appreciate you, Steve. Thank you. We have one more 9 o'clock game, I believe, in the non-conference, like next week, unfortunately.
Which is like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
Who are we competing against? Well, I guess that's kind of the whole point. Is at that point, at 9 o'clock, we're not competing against anyone.
It's so they can get on actual TV instead of that extra. They get more money when they play on actual TV. So it makes sense.
9 p.m. tip. Have we ever seen a later tip on the East Coast? I don't think there's ever been a 9:30 before. Maybe on a crazy day there's been a 9:30.
Maybe.
At 1440 a.m. This is the Burdick Lexus and Burdick BMW postgame show.
One final segment here as Syracuse takes down St. Joseph 71-63 inside the JMA Dome. Giovanni Heater with you on QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Syracuse. The phone lines are open if you want to chime in and chat with us. Final opportunity to do so, 315-437-7644. As always, the phone number to call, that's for ESPN 44 if you feel so inclined. Syracuse with a 71-63 win inside the Dome. Kind of a bizarre game where the box score doesn't really do it justice when you watch the game, because you look at the box score and say, okay, Syracuse had 5 scores in double figures, shot at 47% from the floor and 43% from beyond the arc. What's the problem? And it just never really felt like it had an offensive flow to it. Defensively, they were okay, I guess, but out-rebounded by 10, very bizarre, 44-34. St. Joseph's wins the rebounding category. Far too many offensive rebounds surrendered by Syracuse, and just kind of a bizarre game. But the Orange come away with a win, and when you hadn't played in 9 days, maybe that's all that mattered. Hoping that this team can keep its foot on the gas, though, and get right a little bit against a not bad Hofstra team. That's coming up on Saturday, 4 o'clock inside the Dome. We'll have the pregame coverage right here on Q Sports Talk at ESPN Syracuse at 3 o'clock. Hofstra and Syracuse on Saturday afternoon. Hofstra's not bad. They're 95th in the net rankings right now, so it's a quad 3 opportunity for Syracuse. It's the only quad 3 game left in the non-con. All the others are quad 4. Hofstra is a team that beat Pittsburgh this year, beat an ACC opponent. That's coming up on Saturday. After that, you have Mercyhurst, Northeastern, and Stonehill to close out the non-conference portion of the schedule on Wednesday, Saturday, and Monday, respectively. And then ACC play begins. And we talked about in the pregame show, I really like this team's runway to start very strong in conference play. You get Clemson, a quad 1 game off the rip, but it's at home in the Dome on New Year's Eve. And then after that, quad 3 against Georgia Tech, Pitt, Florida State, Boston College right there. You're not going to play a quad 2 opponent until January 21st when you play at home against Virginia Tech. Yes, you have to go to Georgia Tech and Pittsburgh and to Boston College, but you really should be able to beat Georgia Tech, Pittsburgh, Florida State, Boston College. And if you can beat Clemson as well, you're looking at a situation where the Tennessee game included, the team could be on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 game winning streak heading into that January 21st game against Virginia Tech. Curious to see if they'll be favored or not against Clemson. Matter of fact, let's see if there's a line out yet. And there's not, according to ESPN Bet. There's no line out yet. Curious to see who will be favored in that one. Right now, as it sits, probably Clemson. Probably. I'd assume so at this point. They're a quad one opponent for Syracuse as it currently sits, so I'd assume that they would be favored, but it is at the Dome, so you never know. But yeah, this is a situation where the Orange really got to close out strong the non-conference. This was not good enough as far as the metrics. They're probably going to drop in the net because of this win. I know that sounds weird, but you beat a team ranked 254th in the net, you're 75th, and you beat them by 8. You're probably going to drop. But let's hope this team gets Donnie Freeman back by the 20th against Northeastern. Get a couple of games with Donnie Freeman back in the mix. Get the chemistry where it needs to be before New Year's Eve. And see what you got when Clemson comes to town. That's going to be a really, really big game on New Year's Eve at 2 o'clock in the Dome. And if they win that game, we're partying. We're partying big time for New Year's Eve if Syracuse wins that game. We will have no fun otherwise. I don't care how excited we are about 2026. We will have no fun otherwise. So we will talk to you tomorrow. Jam-packed tomorrow. We will have Orange Nation, 3-man crew for Orange Nation. Paulie, Steve. Then Steve's going to step out for hour number 2, and Mario's going to come in. It'll be Mario and Paulie for hour number 2. We got great guests lined up for tomorrow. I'm going to host Drive Time in place of Tim Leonard tomorrow, so we'll have Drive Time tomorrow, so jam-packed tomorrow. And then we come at you again on Saturday, 4 o'clock tip in the Dome, Syracuse and Hofstra. We'll have pregame fresh at 3 o'clock. We'll have postgame as well, so whole lot of Syracuse basketball to talk about between tomorrow, Saturday, and they'll do it again on Wednesday. I mean, like I said, they're going to play 5 games here in a 2-week span, and a lot of Syracuse basketball to be talked about. We appreciate you, as always, for hanging out with us. 71-63, the final score. Syracuse takes down St. Joseph's inside the Dome. Back on the hardwood for the first time in 9 days. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on Cuse Sports Talk and ESPN Cuse. Thank you to Paul McCoy, producing behind the scenes. Our man Kyle Marshak, hanging out, I guess, training. We appreciate him, and you're going to hear a lot of him in very soon due time. I'm Giovanni Heater saying so long and good night. Stay safe out there. The weather's been crazy. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
This is